Hey, I'm Skeleton Andy, and today we are going to look at some leaks. So we're less than 24 hours from the new miniset, so A2A, and unsurprisingly, maybe like a chunk of the set has already dropped, has already been data mined. So I'm just going to go through and just give some hot takes on what's coming out. So we're going to start up with Arceus EX. So this is kind of the flagship Pokemon for the set. So 140 HP, Fabled Luster, so this Pokemon can't be affected by any special conditions, which is pretty decent, because sleet's a problem, poison's a problem. It's probably more niche, I think, but it's nice to have. Ultimate Force, so 3 neutral energy for 70, and then does 20 more damage for each of your bench Pokemon. So it's 130 for 3 energy. So if we compare to something else, it's similar to Yanmega. But Yanmega does 120 guaranteed. So I don't know, it seems absolutely fine. But obviously this is a flagship, and also one thing we know we'll see from other stuff in the leaks is that this is kind of like a Arceus theme. There's Arceus themed Pokemon. So there's things which have abilities if Arceus is on the field. So even though maybe it's not the best looking attacker, hopefully its synergy with other stuff will make a difference. Carnivine, so just a basic 80 HP and then 1 energy for 20. Okay, 1 energy for 20 is absolutely fine. 1 retreat cost, okay. But what is its Arceus ability? So if you have Arceus or Arceus EX in play, attacks used by this Pokemon do extra 30 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So basically, if Arceus is on the field, does 50. So this is the same with Skarmory. It's like a conditional 50. So not bad. I mean, Skarmory sees a lot of play. This seems decent for grass deck. Well, not grass deck, sorry. As like a aggro lead for your Arceus decks, because it comes out 1 grass energy, bang. Tyranitar. So one of my favorite Pokemon, so I'm happy to see him actually join the game. 160 is pretty bulky. It's a stage 2, which is, not always the best. So Land Crush for 4 energy for 130. Absolutely fine. If you have Arceus or Arceus EX in play, attacks used by this Pokemon do plus 30 damage. So 160. 160 for 4 is not terrible. So I generally assume what you do with Tyranitar is you would just build it up in the back. And then when it comes out swinging for 160, I mean, Executor EX is 160, a lot of things are 150. It just seems like maybe it's going to require a bit of build up and getting the stage 2 out, so I'm not quite sure about this one. Heatran, so 110, fire energy, let's do the attack first. So 2 fire energy for Raging Mad Strike, so 40, not bad. If this Pokemon has damage on it, the attack does 40 more damage. Now, because of things like Druddigon, Rocky Helmet, Darkrai as well, there's lots of chip damage, Poison does it as well. Triggering the 80 is not unlikely, and just taking damage from normal attacks as well. So if this comes out at the start, yes, you need 2 energy before you can go into the attack, but probably by that time you've taken a bit of damage, you're doing 80. For a basic is pretty bloody good. Like, okay, doing 100 into Executor EX is not enough to 2-shot it through heals, but still. And then if you have Arceus or Arceus EX in play, this Pokemon has no retreat cost. So I think this is very interesting. I think even if you weren't playing it with Arceus, I think this might have uses in fire decks, because the problem with a lot of fire stuff is it's not going to be quite. The Blaine deck stuff is all quite fragile. And then just being able to swing for 80, I think, is quite good. So I would expect to see this one see a lot of play, I think. At least initially, until we figure out how good it really is. Rotom. So a Psychic Rotom. Interesting. So 1 neutral energy. Dash attack. This attack does 20 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So this is basically the same as one of the Lake Trio. I forget the name of it. Which just, like, targets 20. So it's not terrible if you want some chip damage. And then Speed Link, which is the Arceus ability, is this Pokemon has no retreat cost. Who cares? So maybe I can see this being splashed in things which maybe want chip damage or hit or bench sniping, but otherwise I don't think it's worth looking at. Magnezone, so there's a whole steel line of the Magnemite to Magnezone line. So 140, so it's same as other electric Magnezone. Power Aim, which is 3 energy for 80. Obviously not as good as... This sort of pales in comparison to the current Magnezone. But if you have Arceus or Arceus EX in play, this Pokemon takes minus 30 damage for attacks, which is significant. And there's another supporter card, spoilers, coming up, which is gives you an extra minus 20 to steal Pokemon, so minus 50. It's very interesting for something which can just sit on your front, at the front, and just tank stuff. But I don't know. I think the 80 damage might let it down a little bit. Another Raichu. So this is 90 health, Spark, so 2 energy for 40, and then 20 of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So it's a bit like the Empoleon Aquajet thing. So 40 and 20, it's okay. Like, I don't hate this. Obviously, it's not as good as the big 140 damage Raichu, but I don't think it's terrible. Resilience Link, so if you have Arceus, it takes minus 30 if Arceus is on the field, which is fine. So it could be interesting as like in an Arceus deck, like a early attacker, sort of. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not too sure on this one. Abomasnow, so 120 health, stage 1, 3 energy for Mega Punch, 80, it's okay I guess. And then Vigor Link, so if you have Arceus EX in play, attacks used by this Pokemon cost 1 less energy. So that's more interesting. So in Arceus deck, this is sort of a non-EX Starmie. So you're doing 80 less damage, which is fine because Starmie's ridiculous. You've got 10 less health. The retreat cost is quite big though. But that's interesting. I think Abomasnow is actually worth looking at in an Arceus deck. Crobat. So we've had Zubat and the other one for a while, since the first set. But Crobat, so stage 2, okay, 110. Darkness Fang, 1 energy for 50. So comparable to the non-EX Gengar, which is pretty good. It makes quite like an aggro, sort of a low energy investment aggro dark card. So I think just on its own, I think you could see some use. And then the Arceus ability is you may do 30 damage to one of your opponent's active Pokemon. So basically, if Arceus is on the field, you do 80 for 1. What? I think you'll see this with Arceus, like an Arceus Dark deck. Absolutely. I almost misread it as like any Pokemon, which active is probably pretty good caged. If you have this an Arceus, with a Darkrai, that's potentially you do 30 from the Arceus ability, 20 from the Darkrai chip, and you hit them with Darkness Fang. This is quite good. Also, this ties in with Weavile EX, so it's another way apart from Darkrai to get chip damage in, which then means your Weavile does 70, so that's 30. So that's 100 off the Weavile. That is pretty good. Stage 2, but it's not bad. Oh, okay. I missed the other big thing, which is zero retreat cost, which is very good. Leafeon EX. So finally we're getting EX versions of the evolutions. Solar Beam, so 140 health, fine. That's pretty standard on the EX. Solar Beam for 70 is crap, really. But its ability, so it's not an Arceus card. Forest Breath, so once during your turn, if this Pokemon is in the active spot, you may take a grass energy from your energy zone and attach it to one of your grass Pokemon. This is really good. So this is Grass Ramp. The only thing I don't like is, like a Manaphy that ramps for water, it's fragile, but it's a basic. In this case, you have to, and also it's a it's not a stage 1, it's a basic. But this is a stage 1, so you've got to find the evolution. You've got to put this into the active slot. I guess the good thing is it can ramp itself, so which means that you do once, you bring it out, you put an energy on it, next turn you go into Leafeon, you give yourself, so you give yourself the energy, and you go into Solar Beam. That's not terrible now. Another application I think would also be going into like a Yanmega, that's another grass one. So anything that needs grass energy, potentially Celebi, because you're just if your plan is just to tank on the Leafeon, just run it Executor. So I don't know. It's like, yes, you can sort of ramp up like 2 energy a turn onto a Celebi. Okay, I guess. I don't know. I'm sure I can absolutely see this seeing play a lot initially as people try to figure it out. But I like that you can just drop into 70, and then after that you're just giving energy to everyone else. Glaceon EX. 140 HP, so pretty standard. 3 energy for Freezing Wind 90. Okay, 3 energy for 90, it's fine. But it has an ability, so during Pokemon checkout, which is basically like the end of the turn. So it's whenever Whenever poison ticks, it's whenever that is. If this Pokemon is in an active spot, do 10 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So it's basically poison damage as long as you're in the active slot. So now 3 damage for 100. And then also you'll chip on your opponent's turn, so if they stay in the active slot, that's 110. Now that is interesting. I don't know if it's good, but it's interesting. I suppose, actually, what am I thinking about? Water has loads of ramp. So Misty, Manaphy, so be able to jump out with a stage 1 and do 100, potentially 110, I don't think is bad at all. Garchomp EX. So 170, so, you know, decent EX bulk. It's not an Arceus. But it has 1 fighting energy for... okay, the other thing is it's not a dragon, it's fighting. So it's pure fighting. So I think you'll probably see this more than the other one. Because you can just merge it with so many other different... Like straight away you can put it with like the fighting toolbox. I mean, comparing this to like a Machamp. Stage 2. Dragon Claw is 3 energy for 100. Machamp is 3 energy for 120. The retreat cost is really good. Weakness to grass is a bit sketchy with Executive EXs running around. Linear attack, so 50 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. So being able to target damage is good, because if you hit them with a Dragon Claw and they run, you can hit them for 50, or you just clobber something on the bench of 50 as well. I think aside from the fact that it's a stage 2, seems pretty decent. To clarify, this will not work with Cynthia because Cynthia targets Garchomp and not Garchomp EX. They're 2 separate things. Otherwise, this would be pretty good. I mean, this would be very, very good. As it is now, it might just be good. Probopass EX. 160 steel, so 3 energy for defensive unit, 90 damage. Okay. During your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon takes minus 20 damage from attacks. So we know we have another supporter coming, which is going to give us minus 20 as well. Seems fine for just sitting there and being tanky. Also, because Dialga exists, this is something which Dialga can ramp up fairly easily. Like just one ramp attack, and then you bring it in next turn. So it could be pretty good, I think. And yeah, like minus 20 is not terrible. Especially on 160 bulk. It's quite difficult to two-shot it. Because you need, what, 80? Yeah, you basically need like 100? At least 100 damage in your attack to two-shot it. Another Shaman. So this one's just a neutral energy Shaman, 70 HP, which is fine. Flap, 2 energy for 30. Weak to lightning, 1 retreat cost. It's kind of similar to the grass one we got in the main set. Its ability, Sky Support. As long as this Pokemon is on your bench, your active basic Pokemon, to retreat cost is 1 less. I don't know. Is it worth having Shaman in your deck? Is it worth having Shaman in your deck to effectively have infinite X speeds? So it's neutral energy, which means you can splash it in anything. So it means there's a lot of potential for this card to get used, but my gut reaction is the ability just isn't good enough. The Pokemon isn't good enough on its own, and Sky Support isn't good enough maybe to take up a slot on your deck. I don't know. Basic Giratina. So 120 Dragon, and then bizarrely a Grass Psychic neutral 120, and you discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. And 3 retreat cost. Like, I don't want to say this is crap, but it's crap. You just take the other Giratina. I don't, unless there's some other kind of magical synergy. It's got really, really bizarre energy requirement. Okay, so it's a dragon. That's fine. But a psychic, you have to run psychic and grass? Like, who's doing that? I don't know. Okay, nose pass are basic, so 80-10. Pretty chunky. 3 retreat cost. I don't know. I don't like that. I don't like that for just starting, but who knows. Another basic Burmy, so maybe we'll see more worm other variants, because otherwise, why put it in here? It's just 50-20. Who cares? It's fine. Oh, it'll tease over like an alt magnet. So this is Steel Magnemite for the new Magnezone. So one thing, so the electric Magnezone, which is terrorizing the meta right now, you can play that in like a steel deck. So I think if you're doing that, this Magnemite makes more sense because it's 10 more damage. Like, it's not much of a difference, but it works better in that deck. Irida? So heal 40 damage from each of your Pokemon that has any water energy attached. What the hell is this? So this is dangerous. How do we know this is a good card? Well, Erica heals specifically grass Pokemon for 50, and that is a pain in the ass to deal with. Like, that basically enables Executor EX, because you really struggle to knock it down in like 2-3 hits. This is 40 damage to everything with water energy on it. Doesn't specify the type of Pokemon, so this is splashable in anything which uses water energy, or can acquire water energy through a Manaphy or a Misty. Because of Vaporeon, and yeah, Misty, Manaphy, you can have lots of water energy like just floating around. Jokes. But the potential to heal 40, just forget it says each of your Pokemon has water energy. Imagine this was just one. This is a great card. Situationally, it's an even better card when you heal a bunch of stuff on your bench, because also it's like, would you like to Cyrus this? How about no? And being able to like reduce chip damage. The things like Palkia that start in the active slot, they don't really like getting chipped early. So being able to limit that or nullify it completely with this card is absolutely... It's a good card, a very good card. It might be too good. I don't like that it's not limited to water Pokemon. So having more healing around is... I mean, maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing, but like healing could be a slippery slope. Just being able to heal the Manaphy you put out and let it live another turn or two. So that's, 4 more energy getting thrown to your bench. Huge, huge. And the other spoiled supporter, Adaman. So during your opponent's next turn, all of your steel Pokemon take minus 20 damage from attacks from your opponent's Pokemon. Basically double blue, but steel specific. On paper, pretty good, because a lot of the steel types already have damage reduction built in. So minus 20, we saw minus 30 on the Magnezone. So ignoring 40 damage or 50 damage in a turn, potentially turn after maybe in 2 turns in a row, that's a big deal. If you're stopping a 1-shot or you're making a 2-shot, a 3-shot, that and a little bit of cheeky healing can be devastating. I think the only problem is that it's steel Pokemon. So yeah, on paper this looks pretty good. This one, so it's just Manaphy, a promo. It does exactly what the other Manaphy does. That's fine. Snorlax, so basic 140, and then 4 energy, collapse, does 100 damage, and then it falls asleep. So it's a bit of a joke, but okay. Eevee, so 60, 30, but 2 energy for Tail Whap. You're just gonna play one of the other ones. This is just another, I think this is probably the least playable Eevee, maybe? New Golbat from line, so 80, 30. I think the other Golbat is what, 70, 40? Let me check that. Yeah, 70, 40. So my feeling is, because it's quite... You probably want to be more aggressive with the new Crobat, because you want to go like 40 and then into 50. Potentially 80 if Arceus is out on the field. That's pretty bonkers. So I think this is... I don't know. I don't know if the extra health is worth... You're playing this to be a light aggro thing. So I think 70-40 is better. Because yeah, you do 40 and then maybe next turn you evolve. Arceus is on the field, you do 30, so that's 70. And you hit them for 50, so that's 120. Pretty bloody good. Okay, the basics. The non-full art Magnemite. 60-20, absolutely fine. Promo Darkrai, so ever so slightly different art, but sure. Gibble promo, okay, 60-20, same thing. So not even a change from the main set one. Cherim, so 80 and then 2 for 60, heal 20 damage from this Pokemon. Fine, it seems fine. Another Nosepass, so 2 energy, iron defense. I like the retreat cost over like the other one with 3 retreat cost. Iron defense, super coin, if hedged during your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks. For 2 energy, I don't know if that's good enough, but if it's easier to retreat and you probably just keep it on the bench until you ramp up to the Probopass with Dialga. So maybe. Another Staraptor, so 3 for wing attack, 90, so that's a bit better than the your basic Pidgeot, which does 70, but its ability is bonkers. This ability is defensive whirlwind, so this Pokemon takes minus 30 damage from attacks from, I'm assuming, fighting Pokemon. Feels like a meta choice. So unless fighting is all over the meta, I don't know if this is that good by itself, because why run Staraptor when you can run the other Pidgeot, which does less damage, but then the ability is amazing? I don't know. Finally, from the leaks, we have Raichu, which I think is basic. Yeah, it's just a different art for the same card. So reduces damage and Spark is 40 for 2. and it does chip damage on the back. It seems, yeah, absolutely fine. So that's all of the leaks we have so far. I'm assuming more are going to come in the 24 hours before the new set launches. Also, there's the Pokemon Presents tonight, which is going to maybe reveal more of the cards. I think we've seen all the EXs now, but I'm interested to see what else is in the deck, especially if there's any new tools and things like that. I'm Scarlet Andy. I stream tournament runs on Twitch and try to make videos about the competitive scene in Pokemon Pocket. If you like the video, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.